I don't know why when I share things, it comes up as like only me
And
now.
we
Like,
are live, my friend, and I don't know how to make my intro music go here. Oh, there we go.
Three, two, one.
Hello, 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 Anthony. Can you hear me? Okay.
check one, check two. I'm here.
All right, outstanding, outstanding. Yeah. So, my friend, I appreciate you being with me. Josh, whose wife is a teacher, has not had much time off, and with you know, us doing so much virtual and everything like that, it's also looking like they're probably not going to get much time off this year. So she's
Yeah,
taking a personal day. And therefore, what that means is Josh is out shopping with her. And I said, I will absolutely.
smart
Um,
man. And your gracious benevolence, you gave him the day
right,
off.
right. Well, this is good because now I can host the show, and I don't have to worry about him interrupting me all the time. That's the great thing.
Wow.
My name is Judah Hoover. I am a real estate investor and a realtor. And this guy over here is my buddy, Anthony Moore, the second. I've known Anthony for about a year and a half now. Just a great, solid dude who is out there, kicking it and not making millions of dollars a month, but also not pretending to be. And I love him for where he is in his career, where he is a successful full-time real estate investor, but he's very honest and transparent about what he's got going on, what his struggles are, what's working for him, what's not working for him. He is out there a lot, swinging hammers and working on properties and doing stuff and putting deals together. And we've had him on the show here a couple of times, and I wanted to have him on again today and just kind of get his take here for about 20, 30 minutes on now that the election is behind us and now that we've got a vaccine that's coming out and going to be out in about 2 weeks, the degree that this thing is overhyped or not overhyped or whatever else. I mean, that's going to be going behind us here soon too. So there's a whole lot of kind of craziness that was 2020
Yeah.
that's going to kind of fade into the rear view. What are you thinking about? Ending the year strong for 2020? And what are your goals, desires, and what do you see coming in the market in 2021? Is what I wanted to talk to you about. So that was like 8 questions in one.
I'll see if we can take them down one by one then, huh?
What are your thoughts? What do you got? What do you got going on right now? You
Man,
rehabbing a subject too. Let's talk about what you're doing right now.
yeah, so right now the biggest project we're working on is Clover Lane down here in York. This was a complete and total hoarder house situation. It literally took 13 months of literally like a hunter up in the tree stand, stalking this property, talking, building rapport with the owner. Finally got under the trunk contract.
I
Had
love it.
all sorts of entities involved. The township was going to condemn the property, all this stuff, but we got it, getting it cleared out, and now we're literally like in the red zone, like ready to punch this thing across the goal line. This is literally the biggest renovation that I have personally done because I was doing cosmetic
you were doing
work.
small. You were doing large cosmetic rehabs.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like you were doing cosmetic rehabs on like 8,000 square foot houses, not
Yeah,
8,000.
yeah.
Like 25. I mean, like no joke houses, 2,500 square feet and such.
Yeah. 25 to 3,000 square feet is like kind of what my niche is.
So,
Yeah.
right. So what I love about your niche, and I didn't mention this at the opening of the show, your niche is bigger than what most people's niche is, which is great, because there's a lot of meat on that bone then.
Right. Exactly.
And plus, whether you're selling it or whether you're renting it, you're generally your end buyer, your end client tends to be a more decent member of society, shall we say?
Working professional is typically what we're going for. A little
Right.
higher level clientele.
there's some good things and bad things about working in the D and F class and war zone properties, but working class professionals is not one of them.
No,
so
exactly. That's kind of my niche, man. So we're pushing it across the line, and then simultaneously started. I don't know if we have talked about this, Judah, but started a development company, right? So we're working with some of the officials, city officials, philanthropists, and some community-minded investors to really tackle some of the blighted communities here in York. So we've done some research with the city planner, and we looked at some of the highest blight communities, and the ones that have like really economic underlings are pretty much 30 percentile or less in home ownership. And so we figured we can raise the home ownership level, then obviously people take care and pride in that property and can somewhat kind of be the stair step of economic development. So we have a big project and platform that we've created, and so working with that with a couple partners, and the trucking business as well has been like really occupying a lot of my time as well. And so I've just been ripping and running and ripping, man.
That's awesome. So I think that's really neat. We talked about the trucking business there for a while. If you don't follow Anthony on Facebook, you absolutely should. If we get nothing else out of today, I'm hoping that we can get you a couple more Facebook follows and likes.
Cool. I've been trying to get my YouTube following up a little bit as well, and so I've been trying to put some videos. Yeah.
So you were really hot and heavy there, sharing a lot about the trucking business for a while. And I think that the goal there was always that this would be kind of like a rental property, right? Like, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to put a lot of my time, effort, and knowledge into it, and then hopefully it can be something that sits there and kind of runs without me.
And sustains. That was the goal, and we're so close to that point there. Yeah, I've had to turn over a couple of drivers, but it's the whole thing was I wanted to approach this business from an investor perspective at first. And so the partner I had unfortunately didn't work out, so I had to be full-fledged, trucking owner, even though I really didn't know much about the trucking industry. But I've learned a lot over the last 6 months, man. But I'm putting the right players in play now, so that obviously the goal is to keep that sucker running, keep a weekly paycheck coming, keep the lights on. Because real estate is kind of like up, down, over, and the trucking is literally just smooth and steady, minus repairs and maintenance and stuff. But
my uncle, the one who actually got me into real estate, at one point had 4 trucks on the road. And he's a beast. Said, well, that's the thing is, and he hauled a lot of milk, and he said, the challenge was, do you buy new, and then you have that monthly payment, that huge monthly
substantial
payment you got, or do you buy used, and then you don't know what your repairs are going to be? And he said when he had 4 trucks on the road, if he got through a week where he wasn't replacing a transmission or a radiator or all new brakes or something like that, he said there were times that he just got through a week and he was like, wow, I didn't have any major unplanned repairs.
He's right. Woo! It's monumental, man.
Like
weird.
About your own personal car, you're like, hey, I didn't have to do anything in the last 6 months or 3 months to my car, and that's a good thing. But with the trucking industry, if you can get through a week, it's a good thing.
Man, I tell you what, you go to church and you get on your knees and you praise God. You get a week without an issue, man. I got trucks in the shop right now for tires. They end up coming up with new brakes and new drums. Brakes and drums for an axle, $1,500. It's just like, man, big bucks, big trucks.
Big bucks, big trucks. That's good. I like that. But so here's what I love about what you're doing there, Anthony, because I see a number of people doing stuff like this in the property investment world, because it's about entrepreneurship, right?
It is.
Real estate is how we've decided to chase that. But I'm getting a little bit of feedback and echo. Is that on your end or is that on my end?
I don't hear it, man. But I'll tell you what, let me turn my speakers down and maybe that might help the situation.
Cool.
How about now?
Yeah, a little bit better. Anyway, the point is, and I don't know if it's just coming back through on my end. So anyway, here's the point. You entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship. Whether that's buying, fixing, and selling houses, whether that is owning rental properties, whether that is investing in some trucks and setting up some trucking routes and things like that.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, and I love that you're going after it. I also love that there's challenges there too. It's these people out there, and there's a whole bunch of memes and other things like that on Facebook right now, about eat the rich and just, fat cats and this whole other mentality that's out there.
Yeah.
You're seeing it, you're living it. Like, we should first and foremost respect business owners, respect the hustle, respect the effort that goes into it.
It should, man. And the thing is, like, what people don't understand is they look at, a lot of people hate on Jeff Bezos. They hate on, whoever, Zuckerberg, and they hate on all these guys, but they don't understand the sacrifice that they did. They had to literally make a decision that they were going to prioritize the vision that they were working on over family, over relationships, over other things, over health sometimes, because they have a vision and they're so laser focused on getting that up and running, right? And I had my first exhibit of pure hate and evil-minded people when I posted the Clover Lane property. Like, yeah, this is a property in suburban school district, great bones. We're putting a lot of high-end finishes in it, so we're attracting a higher-end clientele. And so he posted this on Facebook Marketplace, and people were, after that's a piece of ass property, and and they were kind of focused on what it was, not what it's turning into. And you rich suckers need to quit trying to put properties out that people can't afford and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, when did I become the villain? You know what I mean? Like, but like, I understood it because I'm like, okay, well, unless you're in the hustle and you understand the grind, and you understand the sacrifice, you understand the acquisition, you understand structuring the deal, you understand how to go out and find the private money to invest in this property, and you're getting the higher end finishings, then if you're not doing all that, then you don't understand all the costs associated with that. I have to sell it or lease it out of property so I can recoup those funds, Right.
So that we can go back and continue to unblight other properties.
Right. And then the thing is, Judah, that people don't understand is the trickle down economics of entrepreneurship and real estate investing, right? So off one property, you've got painters, electricians, plumbers. You're constantly going back to Lowe's and Home Depot. So you're supporting them, they're paying for their employees so employees can support their families. You're paying taxes to the township so the township can do what they need to do. Right. So it's trickle down economics of doing this. And they don't understand that what we do provides jobs and a means of livelihood and support for people's friends and families. I mean, and they don't understand that,
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And it used to be jealousy that kind of fueled that, and now it's gotten so vicious and so nasty that I think it's more than that, unfortunately.
It is.
And,
it becomes
the
personal.
other thing,
personal attack.
Yeah. A friend of mine, good friend of mine, posted a property in Harrisburg, 1 bedroom, and because of where it was and what they were doing, they were trying to get $1,000 for it. And you would not believe just how much hate and pricing people out of the market and doing this and doing that, when really he's like, look, I put money into this thing, pricing people out of the market. It was sitting there vacant before. Actually, by creating more units for rent, we're trying to cool down. It's supply and demand. If we can create more supply, it will create more affordable housing out there.
Yeah. And not only that, the other thing that kind of gives me as well, and I'm sure your experiences also, you hear people talk about, going through this, I'm not going to pay my rent. Screw the landlords. They're rich. And people don't understand that, we as landlords, we have bills. And so if we don't get paid, then we can't pay for, if we're leveraged, you can't pay for the home that person is staying in. And ultimately, you're going to lose the property anyways. You know what I mean? If you continue not to pay. So it's like, it's interesting that people don't take the time to really kind of look and try to gain an understanding from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. But I think that, no one ever said it's going to be easy. And as Johnny says here, there's always going to be haters. And the haters used to be the people who, would say to me, Judah, I know about your failures in the past. What are you trying to do? And the haters used to be, people would say to somebody like you, hey, what's a guy who looking like you trying to be successful? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the hating used to be like
It was simple.
good-natured ribbing, or it was simple, or it was like jealousy almost. Now it's like, how dare you rehab properties in this neighborhood? And there's like a whole other level of ignorance that goes along with it. And part of the reason that I want to talk about that is because, like, just expect that, people. Just expect that you're going to get flack and pushback and negative energy from people in places that you weren't expecting before. But that ultimately, Anthony, let me ask you a question. You before you got into real estate, you were essentially a factory manager. I mean, you were an operations manager running big time factories and stuff like that, having to leave your house, go someplace else, check in. I know, dude, I love it, man. But like, the one thing I love about you is you're always wearing super nice but comfy clothes. I'm guessing that when you were the ops manager, there was a few more suit and ties involved.
Oh, big time. Oh yeah, and like all my clothes now are like literally collecting dust, man. All the slacks and button downs, and you know what I mean. All the shoes and all this.
Yeah, Anthony, and I love it, man. Like, you dress better in gym clothes than most guys do when they're wearing normal stuff. I mean, I love
just tint on skin, you really can't tell. You know,
I love it. But so that's the thing is, so ultimately though, putting up with the flack is worth it for you, right?
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Ultimately, you would take your life today over what you had before, correct?
Oh man, I was just having this same conversation earlier, Judah, man. Like, the thing is different is the stress that I'm under right now, I've placed on myself, so I'm not having to go and punch anybody's clock. I don't have anybody, stealing my ideas when they're good and then like blaming me for stuff that they came up with that they don't want to take responsibility for. I don't have to answer to a board of directors or anything like that, And again, not dissing anybody from the past, but there's no political games. Like right now, I'm living life on my terms. I write my own checks, literally. And, you know what I mean? So like, I would not trade that for anything, man, at all.
Yeah, that's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So you have this, this Cloverleaf Lane.
Clover Lane, yeah.
Clover Lane.
Yeah.
So you've taken title. You've done a massive rehab. And what's the thought process? We're going to rent to own this one. We're going to sell this one. What is your goal here?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, we acquired the property at such a great price. When you acquire a property at a good price, man, you have multiple exit strategies, right? You can flip, you can lease to own it, you can hold it, and then refinance it. And so, with this particular one, with it being brand new and all the appliances are under warranty, put a brand new HVAC system in there, transition from boiler. That's a 10-year warranty. My thought process was, what, I'm just going to lease this baby, instead of lease to owning it right now. At least lease it for a few years. I've had a couple people in my ear saying, hey, look, this is a big time seller's market, man. Just maximize it. We could get 6 figures literally on the flip if we were to do that. But at the same time, like, what, I can refi, get 75, 80% of that, and still have basically $40,000 to $50,000 tax-free money after I pay expenses and pay back the private loan, and then have a cash flow and asset that I can be able to, depreciate.
Here's what I love about this, man, is you've got this 6-figure payday out there, and you're probably going to go in a different direction and delay that 6-figure payday even more. But do
I want it now, or do I want it later?
Right. And this was not your first, second, third, or fourth deal. Like, there's a lot of people who they think that, you've got to go out there and, if you can't make a killing on your first deal, don't do it. Sometimes your first deal or two is a little bit marginal. Right. But you went out there and you earned your stripes. You put the work in, and not only did you do some deals to kind of train you for this deal, but also I loved it. You talked about being a hunter up there in the tree stand, just waiting, just stalking, just ready to take this big buck down. Yeah. And eventually, this property came together for you, and then the work really only started. It was after the hunting process. Yeah. And all of that patience that the work began. And then you put in a majorly massive rehab. And then you've got a 6-figure check coming out of it.
Right.
You know
Exactly.
what I
Man, you know
mean?
what?
So
You explained that beautifully. Oh,
there's a whole lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of people selling books, courses, and seminars telling people that you can, get rich overnight. Like, you can get massively wealthy,
right.
and it doesn't take 5 or 10 years. You're only 2 to 3 years in this game, and
Yeah.
you're already cashing some big checks, but you stayed consistent. You haven't gotten distracted. You
Right.
haven't let yourself be discouraged, and you've kept at it. And now you're doing a deal that, frankly, I could have done, that, frankly, anybody could have or should have done. It's not like this, was a magical strategy or anything like that. You just stayed consistent
Right.
and stayed on top of the guy. And it's like, hey, I'm ready to buy your property. Hey, when it's time to sell,
I'm
I'm
here.
ready to buy. Yeah, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
And you were able to get it done. And it's not like the rehab. I mean, it was difficult more so than other things, but it's not like you had to fly in a German architect to help you figure out exactly what needed to be done. It's not like there were specialty gold-plated solar panels on this house that needed something magical. It was just a rehab.
Yeah.
And you just did all these things in order, and now you've got a 6-figure check coming your way.
Exactly, man. People don't see all that. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, back to your first statement, man. Like, people don't see all the behind the scenes. They just see, oh, you're putting this property up here. But look, I got 16 months into this property. You know,
Right.
like, yeah, you are an awesome dude. I'm an awesome guy, but we do own for-profit businesses. You know what I mean? Like, we got bills to pay, right? We got bills
absolutely. I tell people all the time, we're not saving the manatees. You know what I mean? Like, this is a for-profit business, and if you're not worried about your business, you're going to be out of business.
Exactly.
And it's hard to run a charity. It's hard to run a business. It's impossible to run a charitable business.
Oh, brother.
You've got to do both of those things separately, and that's why, like. But if you have a profitable business, you can do what you're doing, Anthony.
Yeah.
Which is investing in the kids in York City and doing a bunch of that work that you're doing a lot of that mentorship that you're doing. I mean, talk about that a little bit. What's been happening and new on that front?
Yeah, man. So, like, I'm on the board for Big Brother Big Sister and Leadership York, right? And so being involved with some of these nonprofits, I get to see firsthand some of these communities that these children are coming from. And I get to see, unfortunately, you can kind of predict in some means, not all the time, but you can predict with a fair degree of certainty that if a child is born in a certain environment and they only have certain influences, that more than likely they're going to follow that path. And so, the thing I thought about is, like, there's a lot of people who like to fight, social injustice and this, that, and the other, and they want to protest, they want to go down and, all this stuff. And my way of kind of fighting social injustice, because there are historically disadvantaged residents, you know what I mean? Everybody knows that. But the thing for me, the way you change that is at the ground root level, teaching financial literacy, helping provide opportunities for economic development and growth, teaching people home ownership 101, helping them convert from renters to owners, and showing these kids that there is another path, right? And so
doing this right here, pushing up your sleeves and getting your hands dirty and getting to work. That's what you're doing, Anthony.
Yeah,
you're
literally.
Actually, what I love so much is entrepreneurship has enabled you to not only help out with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, but also help out in a leadership advisory capacity for Big Brothers, Big Sisters to shape and focus the vision of the company and the mission as they move forward, what they're doing, how they're doing it, what specific projects we should or shouldn't get involved with, how are we going to raise funds, what are our specific events going to be. That takes somebody who's got some time and effort and energy and some smarts to put into it. And unfortunately, a lot of people in corporate America who have the same skill set you do, they're also chained to their job.
Right, man. Yeah. I would have had this freedom before to do this,
Right. And so you've got the freedom to actually make your community better, not just not just yell and scream and not just say, hey, Washington, pass a law, but actually get out there and make it better.
Yeah, I mean that's the key, man. It's like, social injustice and all that stuff. Yeah, it exists and all that, but if you really want to change the trajectory of a city, it starts with economic development, man. Because people who rob, steal, and kill, most of the time they're doing it for finances. They're trying to support their family, or they're trying to do. I mean, most of the time, the means to the end is not necessarily a good thing, but the premise behind why they do what they're doing is something that can be addressed. And that everybody can't be helped. I've realized that. I have a bleeding heart sometimes, but for those who want to be helped and are willing to put the work in, obviously I'm here, man, to help show the way and at least show what I've learned or connect them with people who know things I don't know.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. So what everybody's asking and everybody wants to know, kind of before the pandemic, there was some discussion and talk about, hey, we're at a ripe market, we're at a mature market. Whether we go up from here or not, is yet to be seen. But we've got some more. We've got more potential for downside than upside. Let's put it that way.
I would agree with that.
And then the pandemic came and actually created some scarcity that's kind of forced the market to continue going on. And now we see people moving from big markets into small markets, kind of buoying some of these small markets. What do you see moving forward? Those are kind of some of my thoughts. What are your thoughts on real estate moving forward to the degree that we can even know anything?
Well, just my personal opinion, man. I'm not an economic advisor in any sense, but really and truly, I think more folks now, at least I've been preaching this to all of my friends and folks who will listen to me, pull money out of the market, park it in a rental property, park it in real estate. It's stable. Even if it drops, it won't drop any more than 10 to 15%, but you have your money in a hard, tangible asset that is not controlled by fear, greed, or any other type of emotion that the Wall Street casino, to use your term, is based on. You know what I mean? So like, as far as real estate is concerned, I think we're going to see this, I think it's going to level. I think it's been a complete and total seller's market right now. I think there's way more buyers who want to buy more retail and also investors than there are actual properties in inventory for sale. So obviously, supply and demand economics, it drives the price up. I think, to your point, what you just said, I think it's going to level off, but I really don't see the market declining as much as in my spidey senses tingling about the stock market about to take a big dip. So I think real estate is probably one of the safest investments you can be in right now.
Yeah, I love that you're getting into the development realm too. I would encourage anybody that has the ability to build property or develop land, or even just go through the zoning and put improvements, get zoning approved, because I was around in 2006, 7, and 8,
mm-hmm.
and I saw massive new housing developments going up. And that overbuilding is what kind of is part of what led to
it was a big one of the big first dominoes that fell.
Right. So we had the banking system collapse, and we were also overbuilt. So those two things. Right now, they haven't been writing a whole bunch of bad loans, and right now they also have not been overbuilding to the degree that I can see. So
haven't been building enough. It seems like
Right. Yeah. So I think that a great thing to do is continue to go out there, find blighted properties, rehab it, and put it on the market.
Yeah.
Or if you have the ability to get involved in any way of developing, tracts of land or things like that, I think that there's a market and there's an appetite out there right now for it. And I don't see enough new development happening. Now it needs to be smart, and I'm not saying we should be paving farmland. Don't send me there's certain areas within cities where we can, do gray redevelopment and all kinds of things like that happening. And I'm actually working on a couple of those projects in Harrisburg right now. But I think that's the real estate market is strong. You have no plans on doing anything else, I'm guessing.
No, not at the moment, man. Like, I have several ideas, I'll say, that are kind of floating through my head. But right now, trucking and real estate is it for me, man. So like definitely on the personal portfolio side, but again on the development side. And when I start building, I'm gonna have to like literally come take you to lunch and spend some time with you, because that's gotta be a new realm I haven't necessarily entered yet. But I do
Well,
see
I
some vacant land that I want to start doing some things with.
Well, yeah, we've done a lot of really good things at Slate House Group. 4 years ago, we managed 800 units. To third party managed 800 units. Today, we manage almost 5,000. By January 1, it's going to be 5,000 if we hit our numbers. And well, I'm a good salesman, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Incredible, man. Like
So,
she.
and a lot of that has been new construction and helping
Mhm.
investors do new construction. And so yeah, Anthony, I would love to listen here on the Build and Grow with Real Estate Show. Josh and I tell you he's a hard money lender. I'm a realtor and an executive of a property management company, but try not to lead too heavily with that. So yeah, but listen, man, that's our 30 minutes. I appreciate very much. You got to check out Anthony Moore, Eden Mandate. He's all over social media. You can reach out to me. And he's going to share this, and I shared it and tagged him in it so that you can find him. And he is a big fan of the Build and Grow with Real Estate Show, and
Big time fan.
I appreciate it very much, Anthony. Oh, that's right. I'm steering today, so I got to remember that I got to come over here, and I always forget.
I think you did a great job today. I think Josh would be proud.
Well, that's good. We can. I'll get you his number so you can let him know.